would love it to see that. Yeah. Mine. I don't do a lot of it, Amanda. It's not in that. Yeah, I love that. You look at
Okay. Going off of my notes from last time, are you guys okay if we start with collab and the 2-hour PD time?
So based on our conversation last time and some discussions just with our team, I think this is something that would benefit deeper conversation and more points of view than maybe even are at this table. Nothing against anybody at this, but we were hoping that there would be conversations about collaboration time, how that works with PD time, how that works with ELC. See all of those, and especially at different levels, all of that working together. If some of those conversations can happen with the committee that was agreed to earlier to discuss some of these deeper conversations and issues, and maybe table making any changes to PD or collaboration time this year through negotiations, and start having those conversations during the committee time, and then be ready next year to continue the conversation. So that would be just withdraw for right now of memorializing that moving forward.
Let me just clarify, you're saying that you would like to withdraw the collab and the PD, because our PD, your collab request, and have the committee that is going to be formed look at that?
So not fully withdrawn, just kind of repositioned to that committee to
Right.
do a deep dive on it.
Yes. So just to have it be a focus point during that additional topics committee throughout the year to deep dive and look at all the perspectives and see what we think works best as a whole.
Okay, would that take away from the other topics that we had previously discussed for that committee to work with?
I think the goal would be to figure out what collaboration is going to look like after the Wednesdays phase out after the 26-27 school year.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
initially when we discussed those committees, it was to talk about some of the permissive topics that the board's team didn't want to discuss in bargaining. And the question I'm asking is that getting pushed to the back burner for this?
I don't think the idea would be to monopolize that time or to push other things, but just have this also be something that can be discussed at those meetings. I think there was enough flexibility added in that if there needed to be more time or less time, that the teams could agree to that. So I don't think it was a matter of, and I think also some of this conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, may be appropriate for also the scheduling at the high school, part of that. So there may be some ideas that would come from that. I don't think there's much desire to create another committee when we've already kind of created two, so to speak. So this was just an idea of, again, because I think what we heard last time is that there's a lot of at different levels, there's different interests and also different opportunities for these conversations. I think also, and again, everybody who actually does this for a living should correct me if I'm wrong, but that the idea of where the overlaps are between team collaboration, PLC, making sure that, and then also PD, making sure that it is, if there are overlaps, where it's natural overlap versus maybe we're just not focusing on the things that we should, teacher directed versus administrative directed, that just having those inputs, so everybody's coming at it from the same place. I think it would be neglectful if we didn't get input from the other side of the table. We just think it's too much to unpack, possibly here, and don't want to rush something when we have something in place for next year that gives us a little bit of time to gather some information and data moving into negotiations next year. So I don't necessarily know that it's, that we're married to that it has to be during that committee time. It was an idea of, well, that's time that's already kind of been set aside, could this be a topic for that time as well? But we're open to ideas. I think the biggest thing is we were trying to convey that that based on your notice of this is something you guys would like to see go away, and our notice of this is something that we would like to memorialize forever, that may not be something that this year we're able to come to an agreement. So we were willing to table that for this year, but obviously that's just what we wanted to convey. So we're open to other ideas on these.
Okay, if you're okay, we'd like to take a quick 10, 15, what do you think?
Let's do 15.
15 minutes, please.
Mike, you wanna stop there? You want me to stop? You're welcome. Excuse me.
I'm gonna see if this will work. So.
Trey, we're probably getting three things acquired. We try not to.
Are you just muting down here?
Oh, okay.
Not sure.
Okay.
For grades yet, but
We're live. We're
Thank you.
still live.
Well, voice now. So if we send this to committee for the collaboration, we would like to task, like write out that the task of the committee be 3 things in this order. Class safety, looking at that. The class size issues, making sure we have that. And then finally, collaboration along with anything else as needed.
And it wasn't that they could only work those, it would be that those would be the first 3 priorities.
And one more time, Angie, you said,
The class safety, like teacher and student safety languages.
Okay.
The class size, which kind of goes hand in hand with student and teacher safety, in my opinion. And then the collaboration and all other things as needed, just to prioritize that. But when it comes to the 2-hour professional development, we feel like this is something that should have been addressed when the late starts were removed. That was previously put in place because of the late starts. And so we feel that we would like to have the 2-hour professional development on the work days, which are only 3 of those, given back to the teachers this year, because it just shows the value that is placed on the stresses and the requirements that the teachers have. Usually in those days, it's right before we have grades due, quarter ends, 90% of that, or we're going on Christmas break and we have grades due. So we still have to try to get plans put into place as well.
And when you say given back to the teachers, how do you envision that looking?
So it's a full work day and not a 2-hour PD work day. And if
Angie, did you have identified which days those were specifically?
Yep. Those would be October 16th. That's the only one that's not right before a Christmas or a spring or something like that break. December 18th, and then the one that's after spring break is the 25th, or I think it's March 25th. I could have that
I feel
date.
like it's the day before, it's before spring break.
It's before
The
spring
day-
break.
It's like the
Yeah, 'cause
12th
they're all
or
quarterly,
the.
right? They're
yeah.
not the quarters.
I think I just have the March date wrong based off the calendar that was shared. I probably typed it in wrong. Just kind of, that's what happens when yeah, it's the 12th. I don't know why I have the 25th.
That was an in-service day.
Yeah, that one's a full in-service.
Uh-huh. You guys want to copies for about 10 minutes? Have that?
Thank you. I was gonna go do that.
Okay, Mike is live.
I know, right?
Thanks, Sarah.
So just based on the conversations that we just had, those 2 hours are time that principals use to get with staff to talk about things. Those are kind of already planned out for next year. So that's something that our team feels like needs to stay in place for next year.
We would like you guys to consider maybe giving the 2 hours before the break before Christmas and before, spring break, ask the principals to allow teachers to collaborate together on plans, lesson plans, because that's a lot of the things people are asking for when they have those 2-hour PDs, is that sometimes we just give the test and we need to align our grading, and we can't do that any other time because of the hecticness of the season. So if you guys are absolutely going to stay with them, then please consider giving us December 18th and March 12th as teacher collaborative together time, directed from the principal. Yeah, especially since some of them are, like the December is an early release day. So,
Is the March date, is that early release too?
no, I think the one right before Easter is the early release.
Okay.
day.
It is IPD.
Yeah, that one's not. It's an early release day on that one, but December is the early release. Yeah. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter.
Any clarifications? Good on them.
And were you okay with the first 3 discussion points for the committee?
I think only just the point of clarification, that doesn't mean, I mean, more than one thing can be discussed at a meeting if possible. I think our only question is, it doesn't mean that until everybody's happy and that we're not going to say class safety for the first semester.
No.
That there could be multiple, it's just the priority.
Right, that wasn't the intent.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted that clarification.
And we'd also like to request that with the collaboration time, any recommendation that comes out of the committee must be given to DCNA prior to us being able, we'd like to send it out when when our survey goes out, that's what I mean to say.
So, yeah.
For
if-
negotiations, so that we can,
What if we can put together a survey together?
well, the thing is that I understand what you'd like, but we would not want to give up the bargaining unit's right to survey for the negotiations, and that could be seen as giving that up.
I get that, but we've asked for all of the information from your survey and we haven't received all of the information.
I'm keeping that as,
But I
because,
mean,
There
and
is,
we've just asked for
and I
the
do
information
I
and
do understand where you're coming from.
But
There is a right to propriety, just like
Right.
we don't have the right to know what's said about bargaining in the executive sessions. And so there are things that the board's gonna discuss in executive session that they're gonna keep close to the vest. The union has the same right to keep certain things close to the
But
vest.
wouldn't it be prudent to have at least a survey about collaboration.
That's what she's asking. That's a
To have a survey that we could all see, all of it?
And that's kind of where she was going before you
Okay.
started.
Okay.
What we had discussed is the possibility of whatever the committee recommends,
Mhm.
that both the board's team and this team get it, so that we can send it out in a survey, what those recommendations are. And then that would give us very specific, very directed information that we could easily share back. That would be something that is in a format that is much easier to disseminate. To, I think, get what you're kind of driving at. But this would be targeted specifically to that end, to be able to say, hey, this is the recommendation of the committee, you know, and maybe a question along the lines of, is this something you can support? If no, what would make you support it? That type of a question. And then that would make this process a lot easier. And that way we don't have to do the back and forth game to figure out, is this ratifiable? Because we'd already know, they said, okay, they're straight up, no, this isn't gonna happen. Or they said, yeah, maybe, but what about X, Y, and Z? And then we can toss around those options. That's the goal that was discussed.
Okay.
Does that kind of get to what you're asking?
But is it going to be in the survey that you all send out always? Because I think what I'm hearing is, obviously, understand there's a survey that you guys get your information, fine, get that. I think the request here is to have a separate survey that's only about collaboration time, that is put together jointly, sent out jointly, and everyone gets the information.
Well, I can tell you that I don't collect absolutely any emails because people are very, very leery about giving any information to their supervisors. And I feel I've noticed that I get more that way than if I say I have to limit you to your one email, one vote like thing.
So no, is you don't want to do a joint survey.
Because I feel like people are not going to be as open. I mean, we've got young people who are not always willing to speak their mind, and they feel a little bit more protected behind the security of it's going through not at all the districts.
I mean, because we had discussions, you know, just the idea of maybe even having a third party administer the survey. That way it doesn't come from us, it doesn't come from you guys, and then they can provide all of the information to all of us without identifiable information.
I think that would be something that we'd have to discuss and see if we're willing to do that.
A single issue,
One single.
neutral party survey.
Mhm.
Just curious, who would that entail?
Southwest Plains or Greenbush or SBAC.
The Epic Center that does the Kansas Teacher Retention Survey.
I think what she's asking too is like who's going to be, because my survey is strictly to the bargaining unit, since that's who I get to represent.
Well, and I mean, you know, the collaboration and BLC would affect all teachers. I mean, I don't see why we couldn't survey all teachers, classroom teachers.
No, I think the concern was, would the district also be interested in, at the same time, surveying like paraeducators and administrators and people that we don't bargain for?
Yeah.
Because that would be
That
the,
changes-
that would be the kiss of death.
Is that what
for
you're
us.
asking about?
Well, I was part of it, so yeah, that,
Also,
both parts of it have been answered, so.
Okay.
well, because that doesn't really clearly give us information that I could come to this table and say, yes, it's ratifiable. No, it's not ratifiable. Because
Is that what we're after? Or are we after ideas for what
after
the collaboration time would be used for in the future?
after the recommendation from the committee, I have to know whether I can even support it based on the ratification of that contract.
Okay.
So, I mean, I
I-
can't in good conscience sit down and discuss something and put it together and then take it to the team and to my bargaining unit and then they not ratify it. And I knew that beforehand kind of thing. You know what I mean? Saying is, I need to know if it is even so that I can do what's the best for the bargaining unit.
And I may have jumped the gun just a little bit because I guess I was maybe even backing up a little bit in terms of, surveying to get ideas of what the committee would then bring as a recommendation.
I've already done a survey asking for collaborative ideas,
Can I
Which
see
is-
that?
which is why I threw some of those things on to our collaborative document.
But
Just
3 levels are all the same. So, can we see that survey information then?
I could check and see if there's any, because there are things that are said in there that would identify certain levels and people, but I certainly
But that-
have.
But that's still back to the issue that I originally had talked about, is that you're talking about survey information and bringing it to the bargaining table, and we've never seen any of this information.
Ken, do you want to share everything that you guys talk with in the board? That's kind of what I'm saying, is there are some things that I have seen on our surveys that are identifiable of certain things that I'm like, well, A, that may not be something that's brought to negotiations. B, that's really identifiable and something that should be discussed with our HR or with the secondary or elementary people, not at this table. So that's why, one of the reasons why I'm unwilling to share everything. Now, if I go through my collaborative ideas and I can pull just the ideas even more than I've already done, but I can guarantee you that I've put almost everything that people have said, except for ones that are not even something we could do, onto that document. And
I don't know, I guess something that I'd be interested in is, were there questions on there that basically ask, do you believe we need more collaboration time? Do you, okay,
No.
because that would, how much more collaboration time do you believe you need? Like, those types of things, that wouldn't be identifiable, that wouldn't,
No.
we could come up with the ideas. If somebody said we could use 1 more hour, 50 minutes a week, whatever it is, then we can work from there. But if we don't even know if that's what they want, it's hard for us to even know where to go because we don't have any of that information.
well, the one I'm talking about with the collaborative is right after we got done with our meeting. I just said, hey, we need some collaborative ideas. And the wording on it simply said that you guys are seeking ideas and recommendations of how collaboration time could be transitioned from the 1 hour after school Wednesday collaboration since it expires at the end of 2026-2027 school year. DCNAA would like to collect ideas for collaboration time incorporated into the current parameters of the school calendar/day. And then I just asked that question, what ideas do you have? Here's an example.
So I think we need to talk because I think the parameters have changed a little bit since we had kind of agreed to, or that you guys had said, yes, we would be willing to talk about collaboration as part of that committee. I feel like there's been a couple of things added onto it that we haven't necessarily had an opportunity to talk about as a team. And I think it changes changes how things are going to be done a little bit. So I think it would be beneficial for us to be able to talk about what that looks like, because I feel like now there's more like how that information is going to be discussed. And I guess discussing it and getting ideas, I didn't necessarily take that as that the committee was going to quote unquote be making a recommendation, but that if there were some ideas and information that we could take that and use that. But I think it would be helpful for us to, and I'm not saying we can't talk about other things before we caucus. I just think it would be good for us to have an opportunity to discuss that, to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Go ahead, and then we can talk about the 2-hour collab time on those 2 days as well.
So just take a caucus time. We'll go to our room. We'll go like we're supposed to. I know how that's.
To your rooms. To your room, I guess.
To your rooms.
How long do you guys,
What do you guys need?
let's do 10 minutes. Okay, we're live.
Hopefully
put
it's not gonna get
blankies on.
across cold.
Just
I don't
put
think it's gonna get
blankies
that
on
cold.
the
It's supposed to be in the
40s.
Okay, that'll be.
What's it?
So high to go out there through town.
Oh, yeah,
So the board's out there with
that's been there
their
a couple of years.
That'll work.
You mean the bar?
Yeah.
It was a bar, and then it was a tool.
You're off mute. Just thought I'd help you out.
Okay, so, I'm gonna, I think, go in the order that you guys brought it. So the 2-hour, what's currently PD, you asked us to consider that on December 18th and the March 12th, or the before winter break, before spring break days, to have those be collaboration as directed by the principal. We would ask that we can do that, add either collaboration or PLC on those days as directed by the principal, just to give a little more flexibility. I'll be the first one to admit, I don't necessarily know that I understand the difference between those two things. And so I think we just want to make sure that there's some flexibility, but I think at least on our side of the table, I feel that those two things kind of, that it could be, somebody may see it as one or the other. So just have that in there. And since it was directed by the principal, we thought maybe just having that flexibility. And then the October 16th, just for clarification, would remain PD.
That would be our concession.
Yep. So that's on that part. And then just on adding the collaboration and that stuff, we're starting to see that maybe, again, we don't want to detract from what the purpose of that committee was to, discuss some of those permissive topics, and we may have overstepped in what the purpose of that was. So I think we're just going to pull the collaboration all together and just leave it for how it's going to be. And then if we notice that next year, we'll notice that next year and discuss it next year. But so I think instead of kind of getting back and forth on surveys and recommendations and those sorts of things, maybe we'll just leave collaboration for next year and leave that committee with the permissive topics.
Okay, so long as, I'm just gonna restate so that I can make sure I heard. With the 2-hour PD, everybody is in agreement that December 18th and March 12th, as directed by administration for collaboration or PLC. I kind of see those two as the same thing, but I agree, that's not a problem with language. And then October 16th is still a 2-hour PD for holding. And then you guys are just saying, put the collaboration out of the committee again and just, okay. Does anybody have any objections to that on the team? Okay, we have no objections. Just so you guys know too, all of the ideas, generalized, repetitive ones, I didn't put on there, but in that collaborative time brainstorm sheet that we shared, I took the ideas and put them in there from each, and I put them on teacher-led collaboration time. That's what I put on there from our survey.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, so the topics remaining are lead youth, compensation second column, and the BSNS plus 45. Do you guys have a preference on where to go next?
Yeah, we could go to the leave. And we had requested it be moved from sick, personal to just PTO.
Say that again.
We had requested to go from sick and personal to just all PTO.
I thought how we had left it last time is that you would bring language to consider,
So
to see how it would fit in with,
Like this, like the bank and all those kind of things.
we have a few examples of leave language, but they also have leave banks that are totally like not like ours. So the leave bank language is not involved in the language that we found for the PTO. Excuse me. And it just basically says that full-time employees are gonna get so many days of discretionary leave at the beginning of each year after they report, upon reporting to the contract date. And then days not used will be accumulated to the maximum number of sick days. So that's 100 for here. So if you don't use your PTO, then they roll into the sick, just like that's pretty standard on the languages.
So right now on the language in there where it talks about like the days directly preceding or I don't know what the word is, following or before, like where were you guys off?
That would not change. So
That
the
would-
expectation for, you know, I assume you're talking about like Christmas break, spring break, the school year. That won't change. Because you have that as a built-in blackout, correct?
Without special permission given by admin.
No, that was, changing that part was not part of it. We think that that's a good thing to have
That's a
in there, because
reasonable
otherwise
request.
you're gonna have a bunch of people that are trying to turn the, you know, the 14-day Christmas break into a 24-day Christmas break.
So it's just really asking to change the language instead of saying the 5 personal and the 7 sick, just to change that to PTO.
Okay, so then everything else pretty much.
All the other language would stay.
Yeah, and really whether it's considered, whether the wording is permissive leave, personal time off, just leave, I think that's all kind of just a semantic argument. I mean, you've got, would either of you think, is there a better, more appropriate word so that we're not getting into a semantic confusion later?
The only other thing that we would have to address is the 2 days, personal day buybacks. Instead of calling them personal days, just 2 days to be bought back instead of may sell any of their unused 2 days. Instead of saying personal days, just PTO days. So people could still choose to sell 2 days back instead of rolling them over. That would be on page 46. And we might have to say that, we might have to change just a little bit of the wording that when it rolls over, it's called sick days instead of PTO.
Or what, one of the agreements that we looked at, it has accumulated leave, it'll have current leave as the first, and then the second is accumulated leave. And the language says staff may use up to X amount of days at their discretion, on the accumulated leave. However, it follows the guidelines listed in the other section. And then, it goes on to say that, accumulated leave beyond that may only be used for absences for the certified employee's own personal, medical, illness, death, or immediate family member or extenuating circumstance. So that way you've got some limitations so that somebody's not using that as a 24, 48 day, get out of school free card. Because that hurts us as much as it hurts you.
So where the personal injury and illness, that language would just kind of shift into that part. On page 45.
Clarify.
Yeah, just have to go look through the whole article about how exactly to phrase it.
Okay, and then was that it, Angie? Just for-
Just that's all we asked on the personal, on the leave days.
Fifteen minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay.
30,
Sure.
Answer's not.
Whoa, it's cold in here.
Yes, I stole all the food.
You guys lost one.
It was so cold, we had to go to
Oh, yeah. It usually happens when you get out of response like that.
Okay. So while we think we have a good understanding of what it is you're asking for, the attorney and me can agree to something without seeing language. I need
Okay.
to see it in front of me, and I think, but on top of that, I think to take this to the board as, you know, for it possibly to be ratified, I think there's gonna have to be some additional concessions, which would include, I think, well, not either, but would include limiting the total number of days. So currently it was at 12. I think there would have to be less than that. And I think it would have to also, there would have to be a significant decrease in the number of days that can be accrued ultimately. 105 is a shockingly large number of days that can be accrued or accumulated. So that's the highest I've ever seen. And I've been doing this, we won't talk about for how long I've been doing it. So I think those would be two things that if we were going to look at language, or look at language, those would be two things that we would need to see that we, you know, to be able to take that to the board as a consideration.
A question for clarity. Now, with the requested considerations for concessions, limit days from 12 on the current leave, limit days from 105 on accumulative. Is that correct so far?
Those, I mean, yeah, those are the, I
And
mean,
then
two that we quickly looked at as, you know, to even begin the discussion.
And to have some specific language in writing that you could, you know, legalese eyeball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is with the potential for dropping days in some of the other districts I've worked with, when they've done that, the districts have, when they've asked to reduce days, they've offered to buy back those days. Have you had that conversation?
meaning of the accumulated,
No, on the current days. So like to go from 12 days to 11 days, or to go from 12 days to 10, the districts that I've worked with have offered to buy those days back.
like as a one-time payment.
Well, we did it last year, and like, you know, what they did is they bought the days back at the average daily rate and added them to the salary schedule.
I would just, I mean, I'm not saying that couldn't be part of the conversation or a proposal, but I don't see how that's really, then that the board is getting anything back. I mean, I think we need something that we can take to the board that says this is beneficial to both sides. And I don't know how us buying those days back in perpetuity gets us there. I mean, obviously, if there's a proposal, we will consider their proposal. But just from a standpoint of something that we're able to, you know, take to the board, I think it would be helpful. Because again, there's a benefit of it being all discretionary. Otherwise, it wouldn't be, you guys wouldn't have brought that. There's a benefit to that. We recognize that. We understand that. There has to also be something that's beneficial on the part of the board to get that as well. So again, if that's something that's brought, we will consider it. But I think it somewhat defeats the purpose of the board getting a benefit of that bargain as well.
Okay, we will, the next time we meet, we'll come back with some specific language and some ideas for that.
That sounds good.
Okay, so compensation step column and MS plus 45. You guys have a preference on? I mean, I know it's all kind of the pie, so I don't know.
We do need to also make sure that we talk about the committee language that I think you guys dropped into the document. And so that would be just also one other thing that we need to make sure we talk about today.
Yep. I'm a visual person, so I just wanted to have this for us to look at. And it's still on. So and I'll try to make this as big as I can to allow everybody to be able to see it. So just a little historical information. This is historical information back to 1819. The 183 days is the number of days in the contract. The base salary is the base salary from old negotiated agreements. And then over on the right-hand side is the base state aid for the years, and then the percentages of increase that we saw. That's what we saw for those base state aids. I have not gone back and done the historical look to see actually what the district received in terms of a percentage increase. I will tell you, I do know that what we will actualize if we get all of the money that we're prepared to see and what I have actually based these calculations on, the 2.97% increase to the base state aid will equate out to about a 1.7% increase to the district. Does that make sense to everybody?
So you're saying that even though we're looking at a roughly, is that what you're proposing as a 4% increase, or I'm a little confused, sorry.
No, from 24 to 25, it was a 4.1% increase in base state aid. From 25 to 26, our increase in base state aid is 2.97%.
Okay.
But after we run it through the entire calculation of weightings and decreases in enrollment, we'll actually see an approximate 1.7% increase to our general fund and LFD.
So that's what you're saying, that you're gonna see coming in, basically what you're telling me.
That's what the district will see, yes.
Okay.
A 1.7% increase to the district.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear, it's not a 3% increase to the district. It's a 1.7% increase. So I'll be 100% transparent. Doing this for 120 people is way easier. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. So basically where I started at was I started with taking a look at the overall percentages of how much we actually pay out of the general fund and the LOB, which are the two, 95% of all of our pay comes out of the general fund and the LOB. So when you take a look at the certified staff, that is actually 39% of our payroll. Then classified staff is 25%. Administrative and admin exempt is 20%. And then that leaves a 16% increase to the general budget, which goes towards increases in expenses, increases to, I mean, I don't see that we're gonna increase budgets at the building level. But I also know that everything that has come in this year has been more expensive than it was the previous year. Whether that be carpet, whether that be, gas that we purchase, whether that be tires that we purchase, because the majority of that actually comes out of the general fund and is transferred into different funds from the general fund. Professional development is increased, textbooks, all of those things are an increase. So where I started at was a $3 million increase to apply to everybody. That $3 million comes from the increase to base state aid that we will realize, as well as the ability to capture general fund money, LOB money, and at-risk money that we have on cash reserves. So the philosophy here is to be able to spend money out of the general fund towards human capital versus transferring as much as possible into the capital outlay to be used on stuff. Does that make sense to everybody? So the idea is to try to maximize the general fund and the LOB without putting us in a position where we would draw those down to a zero balance. Is everybody okay with that? That's where I started with. That's what I started with. So basically, certified staff would realize a 1.17 million towards their increase in salaries for next year. Now, questions? So just so we start with the end in mind, I went in and just put this chart together, kind of give us an idea of right now, the way our salary schedule is built, with actual numbers using the teachers that we had a couple months ago. Steps and column steps, just steps, will cost $461,000. So of that $1.17 million, that's 39%.
And that's just for steps, you said?
That's steps. That's just steps.
But, okay, so this is steps and movement.
It does say that. There's another $50,000 that would be in there for movement.
So that's included in that.
That, currently that is not,
Okay, so.
but that's $50,000.
Okay, so an extra 50,000 for,
Yeah, I mean, I could type that in there. if you want.
no, that's fine. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this.
Right. And that's the movement that we have now
Okay,
that hasn't been approved, but is still up to May 30th. That's why it's not in there.
Can I get clarification? So are you saying that currently the 50,000 is a placeholder, or is 50,000 is what's been
50,000.
turned in so far? but it could
50,000 has been
increase?
turned over so far, has not been approved, but is a kind of a placeholder for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just, well, we're just putting 50,000 as a placeholder. It is,
No.
that's actually what's been turned in,
Yes.
but it could increase.
Yes,
Okay.
And there's
that is correct.
a few more weeks to turn it.
So then I did go ahead and
It won't be less than.
it won't be less than
Unless
50,000.
somebody figures
Yes.
out that something was wrong.
Or if somebody doesn't get approved or
Right.
those types of things. And then I did put in there the new teacher pre-service days. We calculated those out to costing the district about $10,500. And then the new teacher pre-service, the Article 21 change that we looked at last week was about $5,000 of increased expense to the district. So the question would be, how would you like to distribute the remaining $477,000?
That 50 grand in there, that steps in movement.
Sure.
That way we kind of have a picture of what we're. 511.
Yep.
Okay, use it.
Oh, I guess that's not the remaining, that's the total.
So just for clarity's sake, from your estimations here, we're looking at roughly the 1.17 for the money available for staff, and then you got your breakdown of what's already been kind of looked at as far as steps and movement, and then trying to figure out after the new teacher pre-service Article 21 change is taken, that has a remainder of the
645,000.
3% is
Yeah.
remaining. Okay.
Yep.
So you crunch.
So this is the same.
We'd like to go back and look at, because we do have a kind of a formula set up similar to what you use,
Mhm.
to kind of see what might be the best use for the available funds. Is we'd like to take a break to go
Okay.
and try to figure that out.
Before we do that,
Yep.
what are other districts in the area doing? Do you have any idea?
Outside of Kinsley, you're the furthest ahead.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's.
What's Kinsley doing?
They are switching to a 4-day work week, and because there's going to be a reduction of about 6 days worth of hours with that swap.
Yeah.
Instead of adding anything to the base, what they're doing is creating 2 new columns in the middle to basically reward the teachers who have educational attainment, and then so with that, and then the step and the column is end up being roughly about a $2,500 increase all told. They're only putting, I think, it was something small, like $250 on the base, and then everything else is going to the addition of the 2 new columns. and then the second column movement, and then they are also calculating into that the 6 days that are being taken out of the calendar as a pay raise by reduction in the hours of amount of work that they have to do. So, and their local is on board with that. 'Cause, you know, it's one of those that,
I mean, that may be their option.
yeah, I wish that personally that they would have gone with longer school year instead of shorter days, but that's my, we've had that discussion. So how long do you think? Here's the money.
I have no clue. I think at least 20 times.
20 minutes?
And I'll let you know if we need more.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, nobody else has gotten to money yet.
Hey, you tried to be on top of things. Yes, for sure. It is a win. I'm gonna do this over the summer.
Right.
Cut something. See, I agree, I'm trying to encourage David, and I got to call him something. Well, they're going to, they brought happy today. And Joan, hi Andrea. I loved it. I forgot
Sorry.
It's okay, hang in there.
Yes,
Hey.
with every little cough. All right.
Is that why you're giggling? That's what took you guys so long. Andrea had to bring taste.
Calling the recruits, bring your hot toddy, Andrea. I just brought water.
Water and numbers. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, you want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yes.
so I've been working on a lot of things. The whole spreadsheet that we typically work from, and Patrick, I can share it with you
That would be great,
if you'd like.
yes.
Do you want me to share it with you right now so that you can look in real time as I'm describing?
Yeah, that would be fine, I've got my Google.
Oh, are you?
Oh. Just missed Ian.
Okay, I'll find it. Wrong email. Let's go to Gmail.
Okay,
Okay,
so what we have started with is we budget for 450 positions. And people that we've aligned with, from the information we got from Tara, they're highlighted green. People who are retiring are purple, moving on to the good life. So we budget them over to Bachelor Zero. People who are retired,
which tab are you on?
I am on the salary cost.
It's right in the middle.
Okay.
So people who are green are the people staying in the district and they aligned with the spreadsheet from HR. Purple, those people are retiring, so we budgeted them back in at Bachelor Zero. People who are leaving the district are red, so we budgeted them back at 0 2. And so if you look through, I think there's 2 or 3 that we had questions about that I just hadn't gotten in contact with Tara about we didn't know where they went because they were there last year, but we haven't seen them retire or resign through the board minutes. But we think they're still around. So there are a couple that we have questions about, but 2, maybe 3. That's all that is. So with that in mind, the salary cost that we have figured is $28,686,397,000. With just step movement, so everyone just getting one step down, with people leaving the district, they're actually, the district would be saving $33,000 because those open positions are now budgeted back at Bachelor Zero. The column movement, I heard you say so far, you have about 50,000, but previously Hammer picked 147. I don't know why we didn't use 150, but he liked 147,
Okay.
so I just kept it at 147. So currently with no change in the base salary, that would be a total budgeted raise of only $113,000 to the district because of people leaving the district and being budgeted back at that base 0. And I heard you say there was approximately $1.7 million to kind of play with. So
1.17.
oh, 1.17.
Yeah, 1.1.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were just kind of playing with some numbers. One of the things we had asked for would be to add, if you flip over to the salary schedule tab, I've already added a bachelor's 45 column and a master's 45 column. The bachelor's 45, I have at the factor of 1.1%. I didn't change any of the percents. Bachelor starts at 0.8, bachelor's 15 is 0.9, bachelor's 30 is 1. So I just went 0.1 since each step was 0.1. And then what I did over there on the master's 45, I combined the PhD and ed specialist into one column because currently we have 2 people on PhD and 2 people on ed specialist. So I just moved the 2 ed specialists over to that column, and I made the old ed specialist column, which is column Q, to the master's plus 45. And we realize with proposing adding bachelor's 45 and master's 45, we have no idea how many people would apply for those units. And looking at the spreadsheet, and I think we have 43 people that would be eligible that potentially could be eligible. HR would probably know better than who would be eligible to move from the bachelor's 30 to the bachelor's 35. And where I'm getting that is just, we have 43 people currently at the bachelor's 30, so there's always the potential they could move. And then on the master's 30, we have 78 currently on the bachelor's 30. So that means 78 could potentially move to the master's 45. So we're talking a total of 121 teachers could have the possibility of moving over to these new columns, which is going to leave a whole lot up in the air that we don't really know how much that will cost us. So, any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, so I can keep going?
Yep.
All right, so I had misunderstood. I thought you said 1.7, so I was going for the whole 1.7.
Okay.
So I was gonna propose a new base salary of 55,000. But that probably won't work if it's 1.1. So that was what we had gotten to so far.
Okay.
I thought to your Gmail, okay. It's just not popping up. I shared it last week. Oh. Or maybe 2 weeks ago. Oh. Okay. This one right here.
Canvas right now.
Just waiting.
So if it's not the 55,000, what would be proposed?
What would you propose?
Well, how much of an appetite do you guys have for just doing a flat increase to every single employee?
No,
Okay, so,
Why was that such a strong no?
we did it 2 years ago.
right, and we worked very hard to make sure that that was a one-time thing and that we were able to go back to the indexed amounts.
Okay.
And because it shows value to those who have longevity and education with not compared to the flat. The flat doesn't.
But we still give everybody step and column plus a flat rate to each individual person. So everybody would realize the exact same amount, as opposed to your new teachers may get a 0.5%, and then your experienced teachers will realize over a 3% increase. Because I mean, that's the difficulty of your salary schedule, is that when it calculates through the entire salary schedule, a 0.5 on the base, 0.5% on the base comes out to a total of 2.89% of new money. I mean, just working off of the employees that I have. So when you look at it, it really reaches that threshold of new money really quickly. So the 55 on the new salary, or on a salary schedule, would take up all of the new money plus some. Not minus step and column. It would be all of the new money. And I realize that you were running off of 1.7.
53,825 gets us to 1.17.
53.1.
825. That's with step and column budgeted at 147.
I mean, where are you guys at on the BS plus 45 and the MS plus 45? I have a hard time, and others have heard me say this, I have a hard time with the BS plus 45, simply because we give everybody professional development points for every meeting they can attend. And so they can move over and never step foot in a classroom to increase their professional learning as a bachelor's holder. So, I mean, obviously they would need to, take some classes for, recertification. But I mean, they could go to every meeting and get 20 hours and move over on the salary schedule. So I have a real, I personally have an issue with that. Does that make sense?
I hear you.
Yeah, we hear
Your
you.
53,825, that included the BS and MS plus 45.
Yes.
Yes.
But again, it's hard to know how many people would apply for those. So would it be more palatable if we took off the bachelor's 45, but then changed the ed specialist column, combined ed specialist and PhD, and added the master's 45 where the ed specialist was? If you go back to the first tab, the salary schedule.
That would do what you were just advocating for, is that would encourage them to move over.
I mean, we really have no idea how many people would be eligible. I was just
Right.
looking on the
Cause I,
spreadsheet.
yeah, cause I looked at it too. And I mean, I was looking at these 78 people thinking, well, what if a third of them moved over? So not having any idea.
Right,
So I mean, just that movement from one column to another was gonna cost approximately 60,000 is what I was estimating. Not taking into consideration, what it would cost to move everybody over to those appropriate columns to the right. So those are rough numbers. I mean, those are rough numbers. I mean,
right.
really.
I know.
So, yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
idea on that than me. So would it be better to take the bachelor's 45 off the table, look at the master's 45, and put more of a buffer in there for the column movement, not knowing? Because right now I have it at 147. What if we move it up to 200,000? And then we would have to adjust the base salary a little bit farther down to meet that.
I'm gonna have to take some time and take a look at kind of where you're coming up with, how much steps and columns are gonna cost.
That was just the number that Hammer threw out, and that's what we both
Right.
used.
No, but how much steps are gonna cost? I mean, you're calculating it based on people leaving and people coming in. And I get that. I applaud you for taking the time to do that. I hadn't done that. I was merely working on staff that we had at the time that I was running those numbers. So, I mean, I would be more than happy to take a look at it and get a little deeper into your numbers as well. Kind of make sure that I'm understanding those. Where I struggle too is just the idea of throwing out a base salary and then I mean, how that matriculates through the salary schedule and looking at how it looks in terms of like actual new money, because we're looking at a 1.8% increase on my numbers for steps. And then another 4.3% new money if we move the base salary to 53. And that's kind of a conservative estimate. It'd probably be closer to 5% when it comes down to actual new money. And that one, because I can't give almost 7% to everybody. across the district.
Right. I don't think, the number that we are at right now, 53, would be 4.01%.
Yeah, but after it goes through the salary schedule, that number significantly increases.
After it goes through the salary schedule and you're looking at the average of all 450 teachers, it's 3.71%.
Plus your 1.6 for steps,
No, that's all encompassing.
all encompassing. I'd have to look at that.
And that's 450 budget, where we have 361 right now, this year.
But we've got a budget for those numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I've budgeted them at the base salary.
Sure.
What's the percentage range? So lowest percent, so the average you said was 3.79.
3.71.
Okay, sorry,
That's okay.
3.71. So what's the highest somebody could get and what's the lowest somebody could get?
Well, well, those two people who would be outliers moving from the ed specialist to PhD, those two would be 7.5. They'd be the highest, but the average is like, I'm not seeing anyone over 5% on here. 4.88 was the highest.
What's the second highest? Yeah.
Besides those two.
The two outliers.
Okay, and what's the lowest?
The people who tapped out probably at bachelor's 30. Let me go back. 3.25
Yep.
is the lowest.
I just need time to be sure, because and I'll be honest with you, the reason I really need some time to absorb it is your 26, 27 salary total numbers are about 3 million more than I've got.
Because we budget for all of our long-term subs to be paid at the bachelor's zero, so
Yeah,
that gives you,
I do too.
so that gives quite a
Right.
bit of a buffer.
I've got that built in also, and so that's what gives me pause, is just how off the numbers are. So I was.
Well, also, my 26, 27 is at that 53,825.
It doesn't have the two extra steps.
Well, yeah, but we don't have anybody budgeted in that.
So your 25, 26 is it what? The base is at the higher?
No, the 25, 26, are you looking at column K? That was off of, the information we got from HR.
Okay. Okay, so let me just make sure that I'm running correct numbers. So you're asking for MS 45.
To replace the ed specialist
To replace ed specialist.
and then combine PhD and ed specialist. And I can tell you those two names when we don't have the camera on, of those two that would affect. If you would like those.
And then you were looking at 53,825 as a new base.
Yeah.
And then your number, you guys' numbers come to 147,000 for column movement, which is not your numbers, that's Hammer's numbers.
Right, it's
But then
carry
what are your step numbers?
Step number is that column M to 1,025,842.
What's the number after you calculate the retired people and new people coming in?
We don't have new people coming in because while I've seen we've hired new people on the board notes, I have no idea at what place on the salary schedule they're coming in at.
Okay,
So I just keep them at bachelor zero until we get to this point next year.
okay, so then that difference was 113,000.
What do you mean?
So I mean, you came up with, it was gonna be a savings to the district, and then, I mean,
Because I've put that new money already in. I've calculated the new money. If I put that base back to 51,750.
Okay.
See how this salary cost, now there's the steps are a savings of 33,000.
okay,
I put it back. That's why it went up.
okay. So basically, you've calculated steps
Column, well, not columns.
and, yeah, steps and the increase in the base,
Yes,
all
at once, because we usually talk the whole pie.
okay.
Andrea, did that include the Article 17 potential costs that we had talked about and the other?
None of that extra stuff's in there.
Just ask, 'cause with the whole pie piece, to get as close as possible.
Because the new teacher service days that we agreed to is about a $10,500 cost. And then the Article 17 change was gonna be estimated about a $5,000 cost, so about a $15,500 addition to that.
15,000, you said?
15,500, yeah.
All right, well, just one unfilled position with a long-term sub saves the district $12,650. We have several of those, so there's already
But that's,
saved.
yeah, but that's not a budgeted cost. That's an actual cost. So the budgeted cost would still be $15,500. I don't have any other questions.
Time to get into it.
So I think kind of where we had left things today then was you guys were gonna leave and bring us back some language
Actually, we're gonna go ahead and table that on our side.
for this entire, okay,
Negotiation.
okay. Yeah, Angie had said something about looking at the tentative language. Was there something that?
Well, I wanted to just start with the knowledge that we need to come back and look at this after everybody's had a chance to read it over now that I realize it's there. But I also wanted to look at, like, just quickly, proposed language, DCHS block schedule committee. I thought we were just looking at all schedules, not a block schedule only.
No, we were looking at
Like the block
the
at the
high school schedule.
Oh, okay, because
Sorry.
it, can
No,
you
I can see how
the
you-
word block
no, I
out
can
of that?
see how
Just
it-
leave it as schedule committee.
Sure.
But then I'd like us to come back and revisit. If we're gonna have another meeting, then I want my team to look at all of that language and make sure we are all in agreement with it.
Okay, so then at the next meeting, which I know we need to look at some dates, that might be easier said than done, would be compensation and then second column movement and then the BS MS plus 45. Was that everything from like a homework perspective that you guys had?
And combining the ed specialists and the PhD together.
Okay, did we wanna try and talk dates now? Did you guys wanna put something together kind of like you did on dates that would work for you and then I can do the same and we can cross-reference? What would work?
I think it's probably easier if we sit here right now and look at schedules and look at this. I haven't really scheduled for the
I've got 4 kids graduating these days, so I'm pretty much out for the
That's
rest
what I
of the
thought. Are we looking at sometime? The last week of May.
I'm gone last week.
Okay, so we'll have to decide.
Do what?
Okay. Andrea has that.
26th or have
You have
I have all of the 26th. 27th.
I'm free that day. Both of them, actually. Please.
I don't know.
It's okay.
26th. You said on 26th. But
I'm calling the 26th.
so
Yeah. Sounds like neither of us are gonna be doing that. We don't have that much.
I think next.
I'm excited to go through this.
Yeah, I can't, but I'm just gonna go right here.
We're not.
No, but you see, we're not.
I'm going that way.
he said he was
You're busy.
I'm free pretty much all that week, so. To be school.
What week are you guys looking at?
We're looking at the last week of May, and it looks really tight for our group. And we're looking at just maybe the morning of the 28th is really the only times that we have.
Okay, I'm gone that day. I mean, I'm back the 29th, but that's it for that week. I figure out a day that week. Day a week for
So praxis training.
I'm good with anything but Wednesdays.
June 10th, I think was
My
my
husband is June 10th. Day. I don't know what happens yet.
So the first would be the best. So it looks like for us, the first would be the best of the week after that. This starts getting crazy for us.
I have no clue, but I might be teaching summer school.
It'd have to be.
And if I am, then that would be, I'd have to do afternoons. I don't know. I applied for it, doesn't mean I get it, but same for right now. Summer school.
Summer Institute.
Yeah, summer institute, so we have to do it in the afternoon.
I was coming to ask you.
For June?
Summer institute starts on the first of
The
June.
first through the, well, for teachers, it's first through the fourth.
So we could do it at 3.
And that first week is all.
If it's only
It's all day,
business
every
left,
day.
would you guys
ELA.
want your entire committee to be left, or if we
I was double checking.
groups, would that work?
Oh, you're right.
I'm not here the 26th.
I think Lori can't be here. You wouldn't necessarily have to be either.
Andre, I heard you kind of say that you've got lots of graduations going on. So, and I get that because I'm moving a kid. Huge amount in that timeframe. I mean, basically the 8th through the 12th and the 15th through the 19th, is that completely out?
Oh, the 8th through the 8th through the 12th
Oh, I'm sorry,
of
I'm on the
May.
wrong month. So
May 11th.
11th to the 15th, 18th to the 22nd.
Well, the 18th through the 22nd is the last week of school,
Yeah,
which
I
puts
get-
pressure on the people who have graduates. And I don't think we can do that.
that's fine. I'm just asking. I mean, trying to get it all.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, you guys,
unfortunately,
I just,
my crazy schedule, I have college class and soccer referee, other meetings.
I mean, you said June 1.
First day of Summer Institute.
Isn't that?
20? Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
So Tara, you're proposing a smaller, like, doing two.
Kind of like you know how
To
we
talk
did
money
it.
in the well, I'm not the closet, but that little.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
And then we come back, maybe.
Or, I mean, or if, if we come to call it a TA, but not really, but then you take it back to your side, we take it back to ours, and then maybe, I don't know if it's something where we could just virtually agree that we agree on, if that was all that was left, and then sit down and talk
She
about
had that language. She-
Yeah.
What if we,
But that was leave, which you retracted.
No.
No, we're.
In the committee, like,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we kind
what
of
were you gonna say?
sit down and talk about that at the very end too, where, I mean, I know we need to get some details figured out, but since both our smaller groups sit down and talk language before, like draft language before we put it in. So, I don't know, I'm open to smaller groups if you guys are, I know it's sometimes easy to coordinate meetings with smaller groups, but if you guys want everyone to be there, then that's okay too.
So you can't start until like 3:30.
What were you gonna suggest?
If you trust Patrick and I to meet with Patrick and Tara, then we could maybe do it sometime next week after school.
Trust you. You're on the team, you guys.
I mean, really about the only day I could probably do it and still survive my family would be Wednesday the 13th.
That would work fine with me, cause I'll be out Friday for graduation,
Yeah,
so.
I need to be out Friday.
I can come.
That works for me.
So we could work the four of us on the 13th.
And I
Yeah,
could
we
maybe
will.
drop in because I do have just,
My
it depends
plan
on when
is,
it starts, so yeah.
My plan is, it starts at 10,
So it's
15.
in the middle of the day. Mine's at the end.
Can you, Patrick, possibly ask for coverage for the afternoon and then start earlier?
My only issue with that is that that's my pre-calculus class and
Oh,
I
no.
have
Never mind.
seniors in that
Yeah.
class.
Never mind.
And then,
Oh, they're trying to get rid of
Pre-cal's,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's all you had to say.
well, could we come over like at 3?
Yeah.
On the 13th?
That worked. I'd be a little late.
okay,
We can have money. I know this spreadsheet is a beast.
oh yeah,
And
I'll dig into it.
any technology I'm gonna have to pass to you. Cause I've been emailing for the,
Oh, if you
Yeah,
need
but
to.
we
we
don't
don't need
record
to.
this.
well, I know, anything that you need, I'm gonna leave that, you're in charge of that. A TV or whatever you guys need.
I see what you're saying. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so then if you guys wanna pick another,
Well, I can be here at it's just that I have an appointment later. in my chiropractor.
the 26th, you said didn't work. About that.
Doesn't work for him.
26 and 27 will be the days.
Yeah.
So then what about June 1st at like 3:30, right after Summit Institute to try and get things wrapped up?
We meet on the 13th with just the four of us and then June 1st for the last. I mean, I can make it
Sounds good.
anytime that day.
So what are we saying for June 1st, like after 3 o'clock? 3:30? Okay.
Hopefully we'll be able to wrap it.
Okay, just let you guys know for next week.
So
13th.
June,
No,
June 1st, we just need like 3.
Good.
First, what time?
Well, start 4, right? Tara, are you saying June 1st start at 4 or start at 3:45? 3:30, sorry, 3:30.
Whatever.
Because they're done at 3.
Oh, they're done at 3. I was thinking 3:30. Okay. Remind me of
Only because I signed up too.
Thank you, Misty.
And then I will get back to you guys on the space that's available, whether it's down here or up there on June 1st.
Numbers, yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Are we done then? Tara,
No.
we're done for the evening?
Sure.
Are we done for the evening? I just wanted to make sure before we did that.
And after you guys that, Tara, I have a couple of questions either for you right now or the spreadsheet, so we can maybe get more close with Patrick.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.